5 simple tips to improve your networking skills, even if you're an introvert. I'm Branson Bowen, and this is Beyond the Blueprint podcast. Make sure you stay tuned to the end. I'm going to give you the perfect template message that you should use following up a networking event. All right, let's jump into it. Tip number 1, connect the dots. You've got to connect the dots when you're networking. If you are an introvert and you don't have a social butterfly personality, you've got to be able to connect the dots very well. If you're at a networking event or you're sitting at a lunch meeting with a group of colleagues and you can connect the dots with what they want, what they need, or who they want to get connected to, you will find yourself in a very valuable situation. If you're at a networking event, let's say, for instance, you're talking to a potential colleague. Maybe they might be able to work with you, but they might not be able to, but you want to network with them. Figure out, what do they do, right? What company do they work for? What companies might be valuable to them? If during that conversation, you can go through your internal Rolodex in your head of who might be valuable to them and tell them, oh, wait, you should meet so-and-so. Well, that person is going to be able to benefit off of your connection. So you're the conduit to helping them grow their network. And substantially, that grows your network. So make sure you're able to connect those dots. The quicker you are, the better you're going to be with networking. Number 2, making lasting connections. It's quality over quantity. Some people are better at just being a social butterfly, working the room, being in a party or a networking organization event or things like that where they could just work the room. They can meet and greet 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people at once and be perfectly fine. If you're an introvert, this is probably not you. So you want to make sure that you have quality interactions over the quantity. You want to make sure that your quality interactions, you make a lasting impact. So one tip I would say is if you're going to an event and you particularly know who will be in the room, do a little bit of research. See who's going to be there. See who in the industry you want to connect to or who at the event that you want to connect to. One inside tip is if you know of an event coming up and you know of a couple people that will be at that event, shoot them a message, an email, a message on LinkedIn, a text message, or a call, and connect with them before the event and say, hey, would love to grab a drink. I see you're going to this event. Let's catch up. It's a great way to make sure your quality interactions are done the right way and you make a lasting impact. Tip number 3, your strategy on who you connect with. This piggybacks off of tip number 2, but when you're at a networking event, know who you need to connect with. You obviously, if you're at a networking event, you offer a professional service or some type of service in the specific industry of the event that you're going to. You have another professional service that maybe you receive work for or you can provide work to. Make sure you know 1 or 2 arm's length of who you should connect with. Likely, if you're at a networking event, there's going to be a ton of people in the room that may not be beneficial for you to connect with. They may be great friends, great people in the industry, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk to them or have a drink with them. I'm saying if you are an introvert, you want to focus on the quality of the people you connect with. And that comes from your strategy of how you pinpoint exactly who to connect with. So it's going to be very important that you are looking at that ahead of time. That's going to be tip number 3. Strategically pick who you connect with. For tip number 4, use LinkedIn. Specifically, I would not say use LinkedIn while you're at the event, although sometimes it is helpful. A lot of these events have name tags with the person's name and the company that they work for. Easily, you can go on LinkedIn and figure out who they're connected to, what kind of service they offer, and it's a great tool to use afterwards. So before the event, you want to make sure that you can use LinkedIn. A lot of these events, people know who will be there. They provide lists of attendees before the event. I would use LinkedIn again to reach out to that person that you want to connect with and say, hey, I see you're going to the event and maybe we should connect. During the event, you're collecting business cards, you're meeting and greeting the people that you really want to network with. I would say post-event, obviously do your follow-up emails, but connecting on LinkedIn is a huge strategy. If you connect on LinkedIn, shoot them a message, say, hey, it was great seeing you. And I would strongly advise, try to connect one-on-one after the event. During the event, people are meeting tons of people. You might be an architect and you're meeting developers. That developer might have met 15 other architects. And it's likely, unless you made a stellar impression, that he doesn't really remember who you were. If you can connect on LinkedIn, post the event, and try to have a coffee or lunch, again, provide value for this person to meet. After the event, you're going to set yourself up for success in the long term when building your network. Number 5, your last tip on how to set up that coffee meeting. You have to provide value. If you don't provide value, people in this industry don't have the time. We are an industry that runs really fast, that is very busy. And although there are people in this profession that their sole purpose and their sole job is to meet as many people as you can. But if you're trying to connect with decision makers are going to have minimal amount of time to be able to grab coffee or lunch, dinner, or drinks. So you want to make sure that you provide value to them to set up that coffee. If you can do your research ahead of time, figure out what they want, what they're looking for, and how you can help, this will really incentivize them to have coffee or lunch with you. For them to set up that hour of time is very valuable in their calendar. So if you can create something that will bring the same amount of value to that coffee meeting, it will be way more likely that they say yes to that initial invite. Here's a template for your follow-up message post the event. Hey, so-and-so, it was great to see you at the event. I would make a comment about the event. Wow, it truly was tremendous to see that many professionals actually come in attendance when we're so busy. Then I would note something that you remember from your conversation. Hey, I remember us talking about so-and-so or different things. It sparked my interest, and I think that X, Y, and Z would be valuable to you. Is there a time that we can chat for coffee or set a time for lunch? So in those messages, you're pointing out that you remember something about that conversation. Here's a key tip too. When you're in an event and there is a bunch of people in the room and you're collecting a bunch of business cards, I would advise you, after you meet with someone and you walk away, write on their business card exactly what you remember from that conversation. If you have the ability to bring that up in an email, that really shows that person that you really paid attention to your conversation. So if you can do that, then you can say, hey, I remember us talking about X, Y, and Z, and then here's the value. I thought it would be great for you to connect to so-and-so. Or if you can introduce them to a different colleague. If you can find a way to bring value to that conversation and then hold it back for coffee. Would love to talk about this over coffee. Would love to chat about this over lunch. I think we can connect more and help each other be successful in business. That's a great way to follow up your emails and set a post-private meeting after the event. Hope this helps. I'm Branson Bowen. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this.